Welcome back to another video, everyone. I'm Amy. Today I'd like to talk to you in a little bit of detail about fear, particularly in relation to coronavirus and how we can manage our fear and anxiety. So this topic came to mind earlier when I was at the supermarket, as we are in lockdown again in the UK and the shelves were starting to empty of bread and milk and sugar. This quote came to my mind by Franklin Roosevelt. The only thing to fear is fear itself. And I've been contemplating this quote for the rest of the day. And particularly in relation to panic buying, I would agree with this quote. When we look at the spiral of fear and the pattern of fear and how it multiplies so quickly and spreads, just like the virus itself that we are fearing. So initially in the first lockdown, there was some fear that we would run out of pasta and baked beans, if you know what these are in the UK. So this person feared running out of these foods. Then someone else saw this person's fear and thought, should I be fearing? Should I fear for the loss and the lack of these foods? Maybe I should buy them. And then all of a sudden, after this happened multiple times, the shelves are empty. And those who were not normally in a fearful state started fearing running out. And I was also one of them. I was very determined for a long time not to panic buy, but then the very real possibility of running out of toilet paper, pasta and beans came to be. So I found myself stocking up. And what's so interesting in the last sort of lockdown we had and this lockdown, I have this theory that the panic buying that's happening right now is coming from the fear of panic buying. So people who heard about the lockdown that was about to happen had the fear, oh no, people are going to panic buy again. So they're now afraid of the panic buyers, and see how this escalates and builds up. And in that respect, this quote does hold some truth in it, that fear itself can be something quite harmful, destructive, and leaving us in states of survival ourselves. Then we can also look at about the fact that, and I spoke about this in a previous video, a lot of the most difficult aspects of this pandemic, for example, the lockdowns, the lack of supplies, the loss of jobs, the isolation, the uncertainty, a lot of these things which are in themselves very difficult to deal with for people, that have caused a lot of suffering for people, these are actually coming from the root of these aspects of the pandemic are coming from fear, not coronavirus itself. Coronavirus itself did not say you need to go into lockdown. Coronavirus itself did not cause the loss of the jobs, but the fear of coronavirus, the lockdowns, the restrictions, and the reaction to it, this caused some of the most difficult aspects of the pandemic, the ones which are having very lasting psychological and emotional and life-changing effects on people. I think we can all agree on this. So these difficult aspects of the pandemic were caused by the fear of coronavirus rather than coronavirus itself. Now, having said this, looking at it from a balanced perspective, because emotions such as fear, anger, love, happiness, these are not in themselves either good or bad. They are just energy. So fear is not good or bad. So we've looked at the more destructive aspects of fear. Let's look at how fear can be useful. Well, fear is controlled by this response in the brain and in the nervous system, and the endocrine system is controlled by the amygdala, a very primitive part of the brain. So when we feel fear, this is a survival instinct. And this is nothing but the body trying to keep you alive. So thank you. When I feel fear, this is my body saying, hey, there might be a real threat to my survival right now. We need to do something. And this is the purpose, the evolutionary purpose of the fear response. To kickstart your system to act if necessary, to run if necessary, or to fight if necessary, fight or flight. So in the moment that we feel fear, you will notice the physiological changes that occur. You get the adrenaline dumped into your system, ready to run or fight if need be, to help give you that extra energy to do so. The increased circulation, heart rate, respiration. So the immediate systems that are necessary for survival, your immediate survival, are favored when you are in a fight or flight response. Everything else is suppressed. So, for example, your immune system is suppressed, your digestive system is affected too, things like this. This is why fear is useful to help us to survive in the moment. But it's not supposed to be a lasting physiological state. It is an immediate, short-term response to survive, and that is it. If you notice with animals, when they get a shock, if you have a cat or a dog, maybe they're sleeping or licking themselves clean, suddenly loud noise, fear. Is everything okay? Yes, everything is okay. I will go back to licking myself or sleeping. So this is the, let's say, supposed response to fear. An immediate check-in. Am I safe? Is my life in danger? If not, let's carry on. But what's happened to us as a species is we tend to get stuck on emotions. They get stuck within us, particularly because we have awareness of emotions. So we can get into these fear states for long periods of time, and anxiety too, which is a less extreme form of fear, but fear nonetheless. We can hold these states of fear and anxiety for long periods of time. Now remember that physiologically, they're not supposed to be long term because they're suppressing the immune system, they're suppressing the digestive system, and they're having this lasting effect on the body. The stress of it, the constriction in the chest, the increased circulation and blood pressure can cause heart problems, breathing problems, these kind of things. So knowing this now, we can start to look at fear more consciously. Yes, it can be useful, and the only time, actually, that you do not have a choice to feel fear is when you are directly confronting a threat to your life in the moment. Now, I'm not talking about a threat that maybe, possibly, you will inhale or consume, then still possibly maybe get sick within a week or two, then still possibly could recover, possibly after a while may die. This is the threat of coronavirus. I'm not negating that it has taken lives, but an immediate threat to your life in the moment, you will then not have a choice to feel that shock of fear. For example, bear, tsunami, hurricane, earthquake, attacker coming at you with a gun or a knife. In these moments, you do not have a choice but to feel fear. Even the most enlightened spiritual person will feel fear in these moments. And it's a good thing that they do. It's their body kicking in with this reflex reaction to keep you alive. Any other time that you feel fear, you have a choice whether or not to allow yourself to feel it. Now, I would encourage that whether or not you choose to feel fear about the thing that you're afraid of, let's say coronavirus, it is 100% your choice whether or not you choose to feel fear about the virus. That is your choice. I'm not going to tell you, do not feel afraid, that it's weak or wrong. It's not. But it is your choice. And at least you can now make a conscious, informed decision. Now, this is the crucial aspect of your decision. To become aware of the fact that just because you feel fear does not mean that you are in fact unsafe. And just because you feel fear does not make you more likely to survive. So, with these two things in mind, let's look at the example of coronavirus. Now, this is not an example of, in this moment, an immediate threat to my life. It's a possibility that, let's say I'm walking along in the street and there is an invisible virus coming at me, actually coming at me, and I have no awareness. Let's say this virus is coming at me in the street for sure, and I may inhale it. Then I have this threat that may, at some point in the future, come to be a threat to my life, but not right now. If I choose to feel fear for this virus, remember, I am then suppressing the secondary systems of the body, the ones that are not immediately required for survival. I am suppressing my immune system. I am suppressing my circulation. I'm putting it under stress in that respect. I am actually reducing my body's ability to protect itself from harmful organisms and viruses. And I'm suppressing my body's ability to supply blood and oxygen and remove toxins efficiently throughout my body. So I would like to ask you, in this case, does it serve me to feel fear of the virus? No, it actually hinders my survival to feel fear. Let's look at a secondary aspect of it, the cognitive functions that occur when we are feeling fear, as we spoke about the primitive part of the brain, the amygdala. When this kicks in with the fear response, its job is to alert the fight or flight systems of the body. It shuts down the prefrontal and frontal cortex, those parts of the brain which are the ones that we are proud of as a species, our ability to make conscious decisions and to critically think. So, let's even look at the example of being confronted with a bear, and we get that fear response. When we feel fear, we are in freeze mode, survival mode, looking around, frozen, do not know what to do, no critical thinking, very, very reduced cognitive function. Is this a helpful state to be in to survive? No. If the governors of the countries that you may be living in were to act and govern the country and the response to this virus, this pandemic, to govern it out of fear, they would not be using the critically thinking, higher cognitive functions of their brain. So I'll ask you again, in this case, with coronavirus, is it serving me in any way to feel fear of the virus? No. Is it actually possibly hindering my survival and increasing the likelihood that if I inhale that virus particle, my immune system is suppressed cannot fight it. Your immune system is actually very, very powerful and strong. We're not giving it a lot of credit. Just because you inhale the virus, it does not mean actually you'll even allow it. Your system will not just allow it to spiral out of control and get the infection. Your body actually has very, very sophisticated immune responses that can shut it down before it causes any problem at all. So if I inhale the virus particle, does feeling fear help me survive? No. So know that it is 100% your choice as to whether or not you feel this virus. But let's make an informed, conscious decision that fear is not actually making you less likely to catch the virus and less likely to suffer from it. So I hope that you found this beneficial. Perhaps with this in mind, you may be able to feel a sense of calm, manage your fear, manage your anxiety about this virus a little easier. Don't worry, it's going to be okay. We're all in this together. I'm sending you lots and lots of love. Have a peaceful rest of the day wherever you are. Namaste.